as good a time as any for Lynn to start working her way to the place she's supposed to seize. Dear God, Eagler can't even harm Wallace at all. He is absolutely broken in terms of how much of a beating he can take for this stage of the game. As much as I don't like the idea of using this guy, the fact of the matter is he's the most capable of taking out the boss without getting slaughtered in return. Excuse me for hoping he doesn't turn out to be the guy who finishes the job against Eagler. I'd prefer someone else gain the experience points there, but frankly, there's nobody else available who can do anywhere near the kind of damage we need to kill this bastard. I suppose Lynn with the Armor Slayer could do it, but she's too far away to get there in a fast manner, and I don't think she's equipped with it. And we do kind of want that space cleared by the time she gets there. Lucius can do a good amount of damage, but there's no way he can survive the counterattack after the first strike. Kent can survive a turn or two without healing, but good God, he can't do any real damage. It would be asking him far too much for too little gain, and be a waste of his weapon charges. Wrath can survive a hit or two, but again, he can't do all that much damage. Eagler is just several steps above every other boss we've had to deal with in the game so far, and I'm curious to see how many other bosses are going to give us anywhere near this amount of trouble after him. Part of me hopes it's gonna be extremely rare. The other actually kind of appreciates the caution he's forcing me to take to bring him down, and the fact that I'm pretty much forced to make some risky moves. Anyway, looks like luck was not on Lucius's side there. Seriously, 72% chance of hitting and half of his strikes miss. Whereas less than 50% for Eagler to hit him in return, and Lucius takes a thrown axe to the face. I feel pretty justified calling bullshit on that, even if there was nothing explicitly wrong with those things happening. Wait, I'm not gonna have Lynn run closer to the castle now? But there's no enemy reinforcements in that corner for her to deal with anymore. So apparently Dorcas is gonna get the kill of the boss here. That certainly is a good way to make up for our earlier death. Good job, Dorcas. You took the troublesome bastard down, and you made sure that Wallace didn't get on the kill board. Yeah, we already know all that. And I'm sure we would have appreciated having you on our side more than fighting against you if you already knew you're fighting for an absolute bastard. Pretty solid level up, all things considered. Excuse me for fast-forwarding a bit. All we need to do is get Lynn into the spot that Eagler used to be standing to finish this thing. I suppose I can use Florina as a bus to speed things along a little bit. Oh, son of a bitch, there's really some axe users left at this point? I thought we cleared the map of all hostiles. Yeah, I suppose I'll slow the footage back down if that guy comes down to attack us while we wait for Lynn to get to the spot we need to finish this mission. Not that he's likely to last, long, but still, it's the principle of the thing. I somehow doubt he's gonna make it in time considering how close we are to ending the mission. Literally just one turn left. Feels like I'm just healing and giving people extra turns for the sake of giving Sarah and Nils a bit more experience before we're done here. Ugh. Did you really have to miss your first strike there, Zane? At least the second and third hits landed. That's gotta be worth something. And that's it. We're finally done with this mission. A very difficult man to fight, that's for sure. Shame that he's going to be forgotten and we're never going to do anything to save whoever he was trying to protect from Lundgren. He's just gonna be absolutely ignored after this mission. He was a little more than another roadblock on the way to victory instead of a meaningful bit of storytelling with a bit of momentum behind it. Excuse me for wishing the story did more with him. Possibly by having us learn more about him after this. Follow up on Lundgren taking hostages to get his brother's generals to work for him. Something to take advantage of the potential introduced here. But no, in the next mission we're just going to kill Lundgren and be done with the entire campaign. Bloody hell. I know, and I can't help wishing there was another mission or two to follow up on the story beat of this one, instead of just finishing things up next time. Dear God, this guy's not even trying to hide how much of an asshole he is. If you're gonna say crap like that, at least try to confirm that information so you don't come across as a moron later on. Indeed. Lundgren still could have inherited simply because Lynn had no interest in becoming a queen of any kind. She just wanted to meet her surviving family after thinking she was alone in the world. But because you felt greedy and wanted to ensure nobody could possibly prevent you from getting the throne, you have ensured you are going to die. You are no Macbeth, sir. At least Macbeth got to be king for a good solid amount of time after killing the previous king. The man you wanted to take the throne from is still alive here, and the granddaughter you've been trying to kill has been getting closer by the day. You've just been getting your own people killed for absolutely no gain, but hey, he's a glorified bandit to start off our time in the Fire Emblem franchise. He can get away with being a completely uninspired villain. Still, I'm kinda hoping that the major plot villain to come after him is someone that I feel really interested in fighting against. And that we get to fight against some good ones in later games as well. Still, it'd be a bit awkward to go to the ones in the future before dealing with the villain of the present. It's still going to be a bit of a trek to get there, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be done in this clip. Still, the end of Lynn's journey is near. We're not going to be done with her and her crew entirely. Eventually, these people will show up in the next campaign of this game. Still, we are going to be leaving them once this mission is done. So get your goodbyes ready. Indeed you will, and there's nothing Lundgren can do to stop us. He can only inconvenience us, and of course get anyone he sends after us killed. I'm afraid I don't have all that much strength to give in this situation, so I'll just settle for my tactical aptitude. I may not be absolutely perfect, but I managed to get us this far in. And And holy crap, we're actually allowed to deploy absolutely everyone in this mission. That's gonna make things all the more awkward for the members of the crew I kinda want to tell to sit on the proverbial bench and wait for the rest of us to get the job done. Really? I'm giving Will a bow that's pretty damn worn down? Sure, I'm not expecting him to do all that much out here, but still, that seems like a bit of a dick move to me. And I'm the one doing it! Part of me feels like I should just outright sell the items that we're not planning on using at all, but it's not like there's anyone to sell to out here. Excuse me for thinking we shouldn't be allowed to sell things if we're not also allowed to buy at the same time. Is the enemy going to gain some reinforcements in this mission as well? Or is this going to be the extent of their troops here? Either way, this is Lundgren's last stand. His best man died in the previous mission, and while I'm sure Lundgren himself is no slouch, I somehow doubt he's going to be as much of a pain in the ass to kill, especially without the mist to obscure our vision. I'm willing to correct that statement if he happens to make me have to restart this mission, just like the last one, but I feel pretty confident. Some of these troop shifts are just for the sake of it, not because I've got any real plan before things get started. Anyway, looks like the enemy's archers could be a bit annoying, since they're reasonably close to the swordsmen, and those are pretty tempting targets for Florina to start off with. Yeah, gonna have Wallace just completely sit this one out. I'm fairly certain that everyone else we've got here will get things done. Well, if we can get that spearman further forward, Florina might be able to take him down without being shot at by the archer back there. I think it's a good idea for Dorcas to try to climb over those mountains to do some damage to some of the rear enemies there. A bit risky, we've lost him once so far after all, but he's got 16 kills so far. He's earned some faith in him. He may not be the top scoring member of the team, he's not even in the top 3, but he's still got plenty of opportunities to prove himself as a deadly fighter. Another archer and the spellcaster. That's going to be annoying. May as well give the Lance Reaver some exercise here, though I'm pretty surprised I never bothered to get the Armor Slayer onto Lynn, considering she's the best sword user on our team. Another mission, another self-imposed traffic jam. But then I suppose there wasn't all that much we could have done to prevent ourselves from being bottlenecked at a bridge that close to our starting point. suppose you could call Wrath a soldier, even if he's not wearing any uniform. Thanks for the warning about the gimmick for this mission. We'll see how far we get before we start getting bogged down by mud and whatever else rain will cause. It kinda says something that in most games, rain is pretty much just a cosmetic effect with little to no real penalties or benefits as we keep pushing forward. So long as it affects the enemy as well, that's still pretty manageable. I'm afraid we're going to have to deal with being miserable in the rain since we want to have some form of momentum out here. Yeah, even without the Armor Slayer, Lyn is an absolute beast against our enemies, or at the very least, the non-boss enemies. Though we've gotten to a point where bosses feel like they are in a completely different breed from the troops they lead. More health, more ability to resist damage, a higher likelihood to cause damage. Sure, bosses were more dangerous since the absolute first mission of the game, but 11 missions in it felt like the divide has grown to a point that we can't ignore anymore. And I doubt the 12th mission is gonna make Lundgren as easy as, say, Glass back when we were still in Sega. Son of a bitch! I could have sworn Dorcas would be able to cross those mountains. We've seen other axe users do that. Tempting! Okay then, she can actually pull it off. Not quite on her own, but it's still a nice idea for the one person who's weak to enemy archers to just take out enemy archers. Holy shit, she is gonna be able to do it on her own. Great job there, Florina. Now to deal with the mage, and that will be all for the enemies on this side of the bridge for the moment. And that makes 30 for Kent. He most definitely is in the lead, and I don't see much chance of anyone overcoming that lead. At least not without seeing whatever action will happen between this mission and the next time we see him in the next campaign. You may not be all that injured, Lyn, but there's no harm in topping you off. This mission is only just getting started, after all. Speaking of, let's get Sarah to do a bit more healing here. I'd rather avoid repeating this mission if I can help it. Hell, I'm fairly certain that having to restart mission after mission is one of the many reasons that I've never beaten one of the older Fire Emblem games before I started this LP. Though, maybe older isn't quite the right term to use, since there were plenty of entries in the franchise before they started having international releases. And I'm also sure that by the time I finally reach Fire Emblem Three Houses, it will count as old at the rate I seem to do some of these LPs. Not to mention things I've been meaning to get to, but haven't even started yet. Hell, I've lost track of how long I've been sitting on doing Assassin's Creed 2. I keep wanting to, it's certainly in the part of that franchise I absolutely loved, but when I look at the list of games I have ready to start working on next, Something else always ends up grabbing my attention before I get to that game. Then I start feeling guilty about it. Anyway, definitely says something that anyone not directly working for Lundgren is hoping he gets killed. Well, I'm sure that we've got some people strong enough to get the job done, even if he is a terrible bastard. And people who can endure physical strikes aren't generally all that strong against magical ones. We'd be heading in that direction anyway. There's only one path for most of our troops to get to where Lundgren is waiting for us. As a side note, I don't think destroying his own bridge is going to be all that great for his economy. But then, maybe he doesn't give a damn if his kingdom is especially prosperous when he's in charge. Just so long as he's the one in charge. He certainly doesn't seem like the type to have any plans outside of getting his butt on that throne. Kinda makes me wonder why he bothered to wait for so many decades before he tried overthrowing his brother.